And welcome again to Cottage Talk. I am Russ Goldman. This is our preview of the upcoming match for Fulham against West Ham at Craven Cottage on Saturday. I look forward to talking about this matchup for the next 15 to 20 minutes. As always, please do subscribe on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. I do want to mention we will have a couple post-match shows of this match, but this is a preview match, so I'm just going to share my thoughts on West Ham coming up. So again, let's just get to it, and let's start with talking about this matchup. It's a very interesting spot for both clubs. Right now, West Ham are coming off of a very bad loss. I watched the match, and they are in a relegation battle, so they need all 3 points. Their manager, David Moyes, is under a lot of pressure. There are reports out there if he loses, he could be sacked. So this team is going to be coming to Craven Cottage desperate for all 3 points. And I understand that. Fulham are coming off of a disappointing loss and a disappointing few matches right now. So people might think that Fulham are there for the taking. If you're a West Ham supporter, you're thinking, well, you know what? This might be a good time to face Fulham. And I'm going to explain in the next 15 to 20 minutes that you're wrong. I think this is a very bad time for you to be facing Fulham. I like Fulham's chances, and I'll be explaining that in this show. I very much like Fulham's chances. Everything going into this matchup makes me feel very positive about Fulham's chances to get all 3 points. Dare I say, win comfortably. And I'll be explaining that moving forward. So let's start with thoughts from Marco's presser. And it was revealed in the presser that Neeskens Cabano is starting to train with the club. This is huge news. I didn't expect Neeskens Cabano to come back. We'll see if he ends up playing with Fulham anytime this season. But the fact that he's with his teammates, I think, is massive. Neeskens Cabano really has been just a wonderful story the last few seasons, the way that he's played. He's become just a very important player for Fulham, whether he's playing or not. They need him as part of their squad. So the fact that he's training with Fulham is a very good sign. It's very good, and I think it's going to help Fulham, whether he plays or not, for the rest of this season. So let's get to now talking about Marco's presser. And I'm going to share some quotes. One comes actually from the Fulham website, and then one comes from hamien.com. So here's some quotes from Marco's presser, and I'll share my thoughts on it. So Marco starts off by talking, obviously, about the situation with Fulham, the situation with West Ham. So let's just start with some quotes from Marco. Quote, "We're not thinking that they are struggling, because if you're going to think like that, then I think Bournemouth is a good lesson. They were struggling, and we did so well first half, and with no reason we didn't perform second half. I know it's really tough to be in position West Ham are in, and probably for a squad, a team like that, they were not even thinking of being where they are right now. As you know, they are competing in European competition, which means that last season they finished in a very good spot. The money they spent, the signings that they made, showed that they wanted to fight again. So, of course, for them to be the position they are in is not a good feeling inside the dressing room. For their staff, for sure, for David Moyes and their fan base. But that is not important for us, really. We look at ourselves, we demand some pressure and put some pressure on ourselves that each game is for us to win and to improve from the last one. That's something that we want clearly. Quote, another quote from Marco Silva. "We're going to play against a very good side. They're not in a good moment, but we focus on ourselves because we want to perform well. And I would like to mention and make a message for our fans. They know how we're doing so well this season. Now we are not in a very good moment, and it's a moment for them to play their part as well. As I asked them for the first day of the season and the last season, we're going to be all together for good days and the bad days as well. Tomorrow, I'm really confident that it will be a good day for us, and we need them to be behind the team," unquote. So those are some quotes from Marco. And what this tells me is he's trying to get everyone behind the team, and he's respecting the opponent. He knows it's going to be a difficult match. But I truly believe, based on those comments, that Marco believes that his team is ready to go. And I actually watched a video where he was asked, it's also on the Fulham website, that they had a good week in training. That's very good. I expect a massive reaction from Fulham Football Club. And those quotes lead me in that direction as well. So now I'm going to read some quotes also from the press conference that I actually got from an article in HamyN.com. It involves Alexander Mitrovic. So I'm going to read these. These are also quotes from Marco Silva. Quote, "We will keep inside all of the strange feelings we feel right now. Of course, he's an important player for us. We cannot hide our situation. We have such an important player, your top goal scorer, who goes out of the game. You are always facing something. But at the same time, it's a moment for the player that is going to play in this position. It could be Carlos Vinicius or another player to show their qualities. Always when these type of things happen, it's an opportunity for the other player to come in and show quality, why he is here at this level by being involved in our squad. But I cannot lie to you that Mitrovic is really important for us. He did not play the last game, will not be in tomorrow's match and the next games as well." Unquote. Okay. So that's pretty evident of what Marcos thinks of Alexander Mitrovic. But I want to focus on another part of this. This is an opportunity for someone else to step up. And he made that clear in the quote. Whether it's Carlos Vinicius, which I expect it to be, someone needs to step up. Someone needs to show their quality. And I hope it's Carlos Vinicius in this match. I expect him to start. We shall see. But I think that is Marco telling whoever's going to be taking Mitro's spot, there's an opportunity for you to show how good you are. So let's see if that player, which I think it's going to be Carlos Vinicius, shows his quality. Okay. So those are some quotes from Marcos Presic. I find that revealing. And I think Fulham are going to be up for this match. I really believe it. And I think Marco's ready to go. So let's now look a little bit of what has happened in the past. What can we learn from the first matchup? Well, we can learn that West Ham had some help. I think that's pretty obvious and some very bad calls. So let's call it the way we see it. Fulham, I thought, played very well in that first half until we had some situations that came up. They started the match well. They scored the early goal. Didn't end well. But I think that they showed that they could have, should have gotten something out of that. And I'll just leave it at that. They lost 3-1. But I do think that West Ham are going to see a different team this time around. And just to put this into perspective, the starting 11 against West Ham, the first matchup, was Carlos Vinicius, Dan James, Andres Pereira, Neeskens Cabano, Harrison Reed, João Paulinho, Bobby Decordova-Reid as a right back, Tosin Adarabioyo, Tim Ream, Anthony Robinson, and Bernd Leno. I've just named you possibly 4 players that will not be involved. We're talking, I don't think Dan James is going to start. I certainly don't think Bobby Decordova-Reid is going to be a right back. That's a big difference. And Neeskens Cabano obviously is not going to play. And I believe Diop is an upgrade over Adarabioyo. So West Ham are going to be facing a different team that they faced the first time at home for them. So I think they are going to be facing a very different side. And I really much look forward to this. So what can we learn about this match? I don't think a hell of a lot, because I don't think West Ham are seeing the team that they're going to be seeing now. I don't think they saw that team. I think they're going to be seeing a very different Fulham team this time around at Craven Cottage. So that's going to lead me to ask, is it payback time? Hell yes, it's payback time. Fulham got screwed in that first matchup. Now you can blame Chris Kavanagh. You can also look at the players for West Ham. Fulham got screwed. This is payback time. Fulham, I truly believe, are going to get the business done. And that's going to lead me to talk a little bit about West Ham. So let's give some credit to West Ham of what they've built over the past couple of seasons. They're in a lot of competition, so I think it all caught up to them this season. And like I said, they are in Europe. They're dealing with a relegation battle. But you know what? I do think that they will end up surviving. But I think that this season was a little bit too much for them having Europe along with having the Premier League. But I do believe that they will survive. Let's see if I'm right or wrong about that. But I do have a lot of respect for the manager, David Moyes, and the players. There are quality players and players to watch. I would go to Jared Bowen. I would obviously go to a few other players that everyone knows, like Suchek and Declan Rice. That midfield is pretty good. So just keep an eye on that. Michael Antonio, that's a player to watch out for as well. So they do have some dangerous players. And Fulham need to be at their best to get all 3 points. And I believe that they will be, even without Mitrovic. So let's get to it. How does Fulham win this match? Well, West Ham just played on Wednesday. So Fulham need to be aggressive. They need to come out of the boxes very quickly. They need to press this team. They need to get on top of this team. Obviously, scoring an early goal will make a big difference. But they need to put a hell of a lot of pressure on them, get their game going, and really just dominate the play, which I believe that they can. And also put a lot of pressure on them because I think there's a mistake or two in this West Ham team. If you watch the last match, you'd understand why I'm saying for West Ham, they made several mistakes. They are vulnerable. They are under a serious amount of pressure. Fulham need to put the pressure on West Ham from the get-go. Don't let them breathe and watch them make their mistakes and capitalize on them. And I think Fulham are going to win this match. So coming up next to end this show, I'm going to share with you the starting 11 I think Marco's going to go with and my prediction for this match. Okay, so this is what I think Marco's going to go with for starting 11 against West Ham. Bernd Leno in net, Kenny Tete right back. It's going to be Diop and Ream as your center backs. Anthony Robinson as your left back. It's going to be Paulinho, Reed, and Pereira as your central midfielders. On the left, I'm going with Willian. On the right, I'm going with Bobby Decordova-Reid. And up front, I'm going with Carlos Vinicius. That's what I'm going with. That's what I think Marco's going to do. And this starting 11 is more than good enough to beat West Ham. And I'm going to say it right now. To end this episode of Cottage Talk, I'm going with a Fulham victory. And I was thinking about what I was going to predict here. And everything is pointing to me to say, because of the situation West Ham, that they're going to be so desperate that I should be predicting either a draw or 2-1. Well, anyone that has ever watched the show Seinfeld, I'm going to do a Costanza. I'm going to do the opposite because everything tells me to do it that way. I'm going to do the exact opposite. And hopefully the exact opposite is what happens in this match. I'm predicting a blowout. I'm predicting a 4-1 Fulham victory. Not 3-1, 4-1. And I'm going to tell you that the goal scorers are going to be Andres Pereira. I'm going to say Willian, Carlos Vinicius, and Bobby Decordova-Reid. All the players up front are going to score a goal. I'm going 4-1 to Fulham. That's my prediction. I'm feeling very confident about this match. Maybe others aren't feeling as confident as I do because they're worried of how Fulham have played. The fact that Marco said they had a very good week in training makes me feel that there's going to be reaction here. I'm going with a massive 4-1 Fulham victory. And that's how I'm going to end the show. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Cottage Talk. As always, please do subscribe on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. It does help other Fulham supporters find us. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. My name is Russ Goldman. Thank you as always for watching and listening to Cottage Talk, now part of the talkSPORT Fan Network.